our good friend, State Rep John Cabello on the line. John, good morning.
Morning. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. How are you doing?
I am, well, you can, if you look to the south, you can see the clouds start to build, those dark clouds, because we're getting ready to be back in Springfield tomorrow.
Kind of like looking into Mordor in The Lord of the Rings, huh?
Absolutely.
Now, look, before we get to the more frivolous stuff, we have to ask the important questions.
Sure.
John Cabello, do you support pumpkin pie being the official state pie of Illinois?
And don't try to weasel out of it. Give us a straight answer.
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Do you have another idea?
I'm a chocolate guy, so I would like to go with something chocolate, but I think we have more pressing issues than to figure out which pies should be the state pie.
All right, more pressing issues, I understand. Then you've got to weigh in on the very important issue of how you will vote when State Rep Luis Arroyo's Lion Meat Act comes to the floor of the House to ban the commercialization of lion meat. How will you vote on that, John Cabello?
That will be a no.
No. You don't want to combat him by suggesting that lion pie be the state pie.
Well, that could maybe be part of the mincemeat pie.
I like your attitude of, you know what, there are some more pressing issues to handle rather than, I don't know, lion meat and some of the other and state pies. Like what? Like what, for instance?
Well, that lion meat issue came up last session, and we debated that on the House floor for 2 hours. It might have been 2.5 hours. Just a waste of taxpayers' dollars, and some of the things that go down there, or that go on down there, are just disgusting.
Largely sponsored by people who I'm sure think things are just fine. You know, should be run the way things had been run the past 10, 12 years.
That's the way we've always done it. It's been fine.
State Rep John Cabello with us here. It's Riley and Scott on WROK, making the rough transition to something you proposed last week, which is a serious bill, a bill to reinstate the death penalty here in Illinois. There are 32 states that have the death penalty, or we are one of the 18, of course, who do not right now. What would this look like? What's the outline of this bill, John?
Well, what we propose is probably not what would get passed. What I'm looking, and what but number one, this is a bipartisan bill. It's not just Republicans. There is a Democrat, and I'll be looking to see tomorrow if another one is going to sign on. What we're looking at is trying to deal with the worst of the worst. If you kill a first responder, which includes police officers, firemen, and corrections officers, if you kill a child under the age of 12, or you kill multiple people, we believe that there needs to be a higher consequence. We believe that you should be able to lobby your elected state's attorney to go after this type of penalty. Now, we also want to put in the bill some ways of trying to make these, at first, ironclad cases. We have had some issues with innocent people on death row, and we need to make sure we find ways of making sure that doesn't happen again.
Which, obviously makes sense because nobody wants to see, and we've seen cases where somebody's been released from death row after spending a lot of time there. Turns out they've been exonerated through DNA and all this other stuff. You're talking about something that foolproof, proved by DNA, multiple witness, probably video, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Let's say, God forbid, Sandy Hook happened here. And instead of the guy killing himself, the police capture him. And we have video, we have him at the scene, we have all of the things that are necessary. And there are 20-some kids that are killed, 10 teachers that are killed. Would we not want this on the table?
And John, would that be up to the judge or jury in the case based on what you've written so far?
Yes, it would be, the prosecuting attorney, the state's attorney would be able to decide whether they go after or whether they seek the death penalty. But that would ultimately be left up to the sentencing, whether it's the jury or if they just have a trial by judge.
State Rep John Cabello with us here. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. You mentioned it is a bipartisan proposal that you have moving forward. What is your feel on the support throughout the body?
It's not there right now, but we are doing several different things. I'm the spokesperson on our Judicial Criminal Committee, and I am now on the commission that the governor has started on crime, where he wants to reduce the prison population by 25% in 10 years. So what we have is a chance to reform our criminal justice system. What do we want it to look like? What do we want it to do? How do we want it to work? I think that, and one of the reasons why I put this bill in is because we need to have something at the top. We have to have something in the middle. We have to have something on the bottom. But it needs to be discussed. If we're going to not put people in prison for some offenses that they can go to prison for today, well, we need to have something that will still try to deter people from killing multiple people or children, and go look at the high end as well. So this is more to facilitate the discussion and to make sure that discussion is there when we are trying to make those reforms.
Yeah, because when Governor George Ryan put the moratorium into place, he was heralded far and wide by, well, this is the greatest bit of progressive thinking, and, finally Illinois getting aboard the bandwagon. It was one of those things that almost drowned out the chorus of people who were pointing out some of the illegalities that were going on in the governor's office. So it's going to be a tough nut to crack, but obviously you already know that going in.
Absolutely, but if we don't try, then we will never succeed. And again, we unfortunately do not take care of our victims of crime and the victim's family. We take care of the criminal. So I want to make sure that the victims' families and the victims are heard.
State Rep John Cabello with us here. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. Something that's been kicked around, and perhaps we'll get a hearing or will be heard sometime this week in the near future, is this idea of a gas tax hike, or at least a gas tax swap, where the sales tax rolls off, but the gas tax itself is up, and then it can be devoted directly to infrastructure. What are your thoughts on that possibility opening up down in Springfield?
Well, that is a real possibility. Another one of my new jobs this General Assembly is I'm the spokesperson on public safety appropriations, and that we appropriate all of the money for IDOT. The Secretary of IDOT, the Acting Secretary of IDOT, he has not been confirmed yet. We meet quite often. We have a very good working relationship already. We are trying to start a discussion on how are we going to exactly do that. We are kind of both on the same page when it comes to, really we need two separate funds, two separate road funds. One for the existing roads and bridges that are crumbling, that nobody cares about, and another fund for building the new. So we have not talked about how we're going to generate revenue. We have not talked about how we're going to maybe take away revenue from one area to put into another. We're just now starting those discussions. He's only been on the job for about a month. There's a lot that he needs to get acclimated to, and there's a lot that I need to get acclimated to, but we're trying to work towards that very quickly. But it's a discussion that's coming. The one thing that we need to be at the forefront of every discussion is that either way we look at it, it's taxpayers' dollars, and we need to be mindful of where it's coming from and how we're bringing it in.
John, one of the problems of the past years with transportation funding is that it's been rated by Democrats, right, to take the transportation funds that are supposed to go toward roads and bridges and infrastructure and shove it into the general fund to make a so-called balanced budget. Would some of the problem just be alleviated by actually spending transportation dollars on transportation?
Absolutely. But we are looking at, and the governor has proposed, I'm actually going to be they've already been filed, but there's 18 appropriation bills that I have to run through committee and run them on the House floor. So just trying to understand every single aspect of each person's or each agency's budget is a task in itself. We're looking at the areas of where money was hidden. It was hidden in plain sight, but it was still hidden, where you have lines and lines and lines and lines and lines, and unfortunately when they give us an hour to vote on what they've come up with, that's one of the reasons why we all vote no. But then they have enough to get it passed, the governor signed it. So we're seeing where some of these programs are getting multi-millions of dollars that we're like, okay, we cannot fund that this time. So a lot of that came out of the road fund. And we're going to make sure that we do our best job to make sure that that doesn't happen from here on out.
State Rep John Cabello, as always, man. Thanks for taking time out of your day for us.
We're done. It seems like we just started.
Well, no, you can hang around a little bit more if you'd like.
It's up to you guys.
Yeah.
But, I appreciate the time, and we hope all is well for you guys.
We'll have you back soon. No worries.
Absolutely. We'd love that.